Welcome to episode 101 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg. My co-host, Warren Sklar, here. How you doing, Warren?
I am doing good, better. We're
we had a little bit of a challenge yesterday after all your storms out there. We had to postpone recording for we spent almost an hour trying to figure it out, and it was like, holy cow! I'm thinking my $600 Rodecaster Pro is toast, and
I mean, this is the reason why I have 4 laptops and like 100 different.
You tried 4 different computers,
so I tried 4 different computers and none worked. Yeah.
Crazy.
So 2 days ago we had a bad storm and it knocked out power to the whole town.
Yeah.
And then we were off for 24 hours, but we have a generator.
Yeah.
And about 2 hours before.
Power's weird on generators.
Yeah. Well, it came back on, but my doorbells weren't ringing, or the smart home wasn't being so smart at that point. So
yeah.
So it's nice and quiet now, even though the rain's coming down. So I'm just crossing my fingers.
Good deal.
Yep.
Oh no, thanks for coming back, and let's have some fun. We got a lot to talk about, lots of news. I also have an interview that's coming up. We'll talk about that in just a moment about the app GoodPods, the actual one of the co-founders, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And lots of news. Beta's back for you, so you're a happy guy. And let's go ahead and dive right in with the news here. First story we got here is Apple did release an update to iOS 13.5.1, which fixes the jailbreak vulnerability. Mac Rumors, were linked to that, is telling us a little after a week after 13.5 just was released, and so this was more of a security update than anything else. Didn't notice anything else different beyond that because of course someone found a jailbreaking tool that was available. I think we talked about jailbreaking last week. Did you notice anything with this release? I didn't.
Well, I didn't have that long to play with it because the beta came out 2 days later or a day later. But from what I saw initially, I think Apple pretty much didn't beat around the bush and said this does nothing except break the jailbreak. So they're like, here it is.
That's what they want to do.
Yep. So
they don't want you jailbreaking. So
nope. So I think that's all it did. So good. Yeah. I mean, we talked about last week, I think a little bit. I did the jailbreak and I played around with a few things and.
Oh, you did? I didn't know you did. You actually did it.
Yeah, I did it.
You talked about it.
Yeah. No, I did it. I did the jailbreak. I loaded a couple things that I kind of remember. We talked about it a little bit. There's a app that remembers all your Wi-Fi passwords and displays the name, which is a great app. If you I wish they had that legit somewhere. But anyways, I restored it back and now I'm back to normal.
You are. That's why I call you the beta master.
Hey, computers could always go back to the way they were. Everything but the watch.
Watch, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? I haven't found anything that permanently will break a device. The HomePod, they don't release betas because of probably reasons, and you can't break that. AirPods, same. So whatever can be beta and updated, I do it.
Well, speaking of the watch, next story was Apple did release a Watch OS update 6.2.6 with security fixes. They didn't get into any much specifics with that. I ran that right away and just I make sure go grab that. Did you? I don't think I assume you didn't notice anything when I didn't with the watch.
No. I did not notice a thing, and then it's maybe a little bit faster. Sometimes I think it's just in my mind, but maybe a little bit speedier, but who knows.
And then the HomePod actually got an update, 13.4.6. So it's interesting that they're on kind of a behind version on the HomePod. The HomePod updates itself. So it's in the HomeKit app, and it just goes and runs its updates. There's just minor improvements for stability, quality. It says I didn't notice much on mine. I assume you haven't either.
No, and you can force the update, which I did.
You can. You can go in and actually do it, right?
Yeah, so I forced it out, and no, didn't. I mean, I haven't noticed any differences in the HomePod. The only difference in the last couple updates that I noticed was the kind of like the automatic handoff kind of thing between your phone and the music that goes there. That actually I didn't like. I turned off, but I haven't noticed much going on. Yeah.
9 to 5 Mac, I had continuing our talk about the HomePod. They had an article a couple days ago. Should you buy the HomePod right now, or should you wait for the HomePod Mini? The HomePod actually came out in 2017. Jeez, I can't believe it's been 3 years already. I remember doing an episode that I bought it, and then 5 days later I returned it because I wasn't happy with it, and then I ended up having two. So call me crazy not wanting the HomePods. That was before your time on the show, but so I was a little skeptical about the HomePod, but I'm happy with it. No, they talked through about what the chip is in. The A8 chip is in these HomePods, which is the same as the iPhone 6. So they don't have heavy duty processing speed. But so the question is, should you buy a HomePod? What do you think?
They keep putting them on sale. Best Buy,
that's another thing.
Best Buy had it again for the $199 that they throw them down to a lot. I didn't pay full price for either one of my two. I have two, a black and white.
Oh, nor did I.
So, I don't think I would have paid the full price for that. Well, maybe, maybe.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I will buy another one of the current models for now. If they release something new, I would definitely consider it. The rumors,
it's all rumors, of course.
The mini one, or I don't know what a more powerful HomePod would do. To be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's going to be small. That's the thing, and I think that's what people are going to like because it's not taking up as much space. But it'd be interesting to see where this goes. Now, this is all going to be when the Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC, happens, which is when we record this in a couple weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about. I'm hoping to see Apple does release some, besides iOS 14 and other things that are going to be going on. So it should definitely be interesting. So the next story was Apple Research app. The Research app was updated with COVID-19 survey and a new speech in noise test. That Apple Research app is an app that you had like health stuff that you can participate in, and did like a research study on what you want to do with it. And and this was a 9 to 5 Mac. It has a new speech and noise test in it, and then there's going to be a survey in the Apple Heart and Movement study to help understand the impact of the COVID-19 on daily life. I don't know if you took a look at this at all. I hadn't had a chance.
Not really. I just heard about it, and so they have the three or four active tests out there. Not tests, but the studies going on, and I think that's just another one. So I haven't. I think the early one was the heart one, and then they have like the women's one. So I haven't signed up for any of those.
The last story, this was in Ars Technica. This was about the looters that had hit a lot of Apple stores, unfortunately, with the riots after the unfortunate death of George Floyd and that whole thing with the riots. And I'd definitely like to say that Black lives do matter. I'm not of any bias or anything about that. I just don't want us to go down the road of talking a lot about politics and a lot of current events that are occurring. And I know a lot of other podcasts have been doing shows on that, but just wanted to set the record straight on that. I don't know if you have any other comments on that, Warren.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to a bunch of the podcasts, and some go there and some keep away from it. Just like you, I pretty much, I feel the same way as you do. I think it's horrible. It's a horrible situation.
Horrible.
And, I definitely, I support, obviously, the protesters. I don't support the rioters.
No, not at all.
But I support, I support the cause, and I think it's it's not a good look for the country, and it's not a good look for the world, and I think we need to get through it. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of devastation. Chicago, where I live, horrible. A lot of damage. It was horrible. A lot of big major cities across the country were just getting. Philadelphia was horrible. I remember when you made that comment and Back to the Future, they got the Starbucks and the Apple Store. This is personal.
No, that was on my timeline. That wasn't even Back to the Future. That's my Facebook timeline. It was.
Was that your Facebook? Okay, you said that. Yeah,
because I'm generally teased about liking the two things. So there you go. So
you're loud.
It was bad. So the Philadelphia.
It was bad.
The Philadelphia Apple Store had it bad, and Starbucks burned down. So
yeah. So this story talks about the iPhone looters. They find the device is disabled with a warning they're being tracked. Surprise! So a lot of retailers are probably doing that too, and all they had to do was pick up the phone, and there's a big warning on it. Return to Apple Walnut Street. The device has been disabled and is being tracked. Local authorities will be alerted. So basically, you stole a brick.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking of is, they probably still had the old accessories. I know they keep some of the accessories out there too, so that stuff is not trackable. But any iPad or iPhone or Mac is going to be trackable, and hopefully they catch some of those people. But I'm sure a lot of people do know about it, and they just kind of throw it away or do whatever social parts.
Okay, so yeah, it's just such a shame that it all had to happen, but I'm glad and it just kind of proves that Apple has some great pieces in place for security for these devices. You lose your device, it's easy to find. I mean, I remember I mistakenly left my iPad behind at the racetrack when I was hanging out for night. I was like, oh my God, I remember I was freaking out. And I think I said the story before, but so sure enough, I had to find my iPad on and ran it, and the alarm was running, and people were like, I heard later the security guard saw it. My phone number appears on the screen, so they flipped it open. They called me right away, and I'm heading over right now. Thank God the security guards found it and was able to recover it. So, but that just shows you how great the tools are with the Find My app or your iPhones, iPads.
Yeah,
Watch too,
and the Mac. My son left his
and Mac too.
His son left his Mac once at his school, and he wasn't sure if he left it there. So we had a successful story that way too.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the topics of this week. I had the pleasure actually of interviewing somebody for the show. She was the co-founder of the podcast social app GoodPods, which I just reviewed last week on last week's show. JG Ramberg, she hosted MSNBC's For Your Business for almost 13 years. So she was in mainstream media for a long time, knew anything in business. She's an entrepreneur. She co-founded actually the shopping and coupon site Good Shop, which is also she was working with her brother Ken. They're both working on these projects, and Good Shop is now in the hands of someone else that they're having work for that company, and that was a coupons and shopping site. But then we talked about, so the interview was really, we talked about GoodPods and seeing what podcasts your smart, funny, and most curious podcast obsessed friends and influencers are listening to from what it says on their website. And I also asked about how it would work for podcasters and benefit listeners as well. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this, and we'll be back with our comments and the next topics. Welcome to In Touch with iOS. This is Dave Ginsburg, and I have a special interview that I am doing this week. It's unusual what we normally do on the show. But my guest this week is JG Ramberg, who is the co-founder of GoodPods, a social podcasting app that not only you can find on all your favorite podcasts, but also connect to other people and what they listen to. So we're going to find a little bit more about this. So welcome to the show, JG. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks, Dave. I'm so happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, me as well. So let's jump right into it, and why don't you tell everybody a little bit about GoodPods and what it's all about?
Sure, I would love to. It's my favorite thing to talk about. GoodPods is a new social network focused on podcasts. So you can follow your friends and influencers, and you see what they're listening to either by show or, more exciting for me, by episode. So, I mean, the problem we're solving for basically is two things. One, as a listener, I mean, I think of the times for me where I'd be about to go for a run and wondering what to listen to. And I'd call my brother and he doesn't pick up, and my best friend and she doesn't pick up. And, 30 minutes later, I'm still scrolling through trying to find something. And then my run time is over. But the second thing we're really interested, that's from the listener side. But, particularly in this time, there are so many voices that need to be surfaced, right? Like people who do not have big marketing budgets, but they've got something really interesting to say, and people would love to hear them if they knew about them. And through GoodPods, because podcasts pass from friend to friend to friend to friend, you were really finding some great podcasts and voices that people had never heard of before and go viral within our community.
Okay. I don't know that it looked like a great like a great app. I found out about you guys as your brother Ken followed me on Twitter and reached out to me and said, hey, I think Jay would be great to be on the show. So then last week we just had our 100th episode from my show. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I did do a review of the app, and I'm really impressed with it. So we'll find a little bit more about this. So as far as how do you think this benefits the listeners in the long run when they would use this app? What benefit are they going to get?
It's two. I mean, one is just simply the ease of discovery. Discovery is a real issue in the podcast world. And,
it is.
There are a million podcasts out there right now. I think last month was more podcasts than ever were created last month. I feel like yes. I read. And it's just hard to find them. And there's good stuff out there and you just don't know what it is. Or you're with a friend at a dinner party and they say, did you hear blah, blah, blah? But by the time you get back to your phone to listen to something, you've forgotten what it is. And so to the listener, we've solved podcast discovery, I believe. But the other thing I think we've really helped with is podcasting. To me, I was a journalist for many years. I worked for NBC News. I was an anchor. And what I loved so much about journalism is just this ability to go in and out of worlds, right? So I get to really dive into a story and then dive into the next story. And I think why I love podcasts so much is I can do the same thing, right? So I can dive into history, I can dive into technology, meditation, art, right? But it's hard unless you have that delivered to you in some way. And so now by following your friends and influencers, you get that delivered to you.
Okay. And then I know as soon as I got onto the platform and you followed me, that was nice. So glad to follow you as well. I'm watching a lot of the things that you listen to. I also noticed there's a team GoodPods group. Who makes up that team?
Oh, it's the whole team of everyone who works here, right? So okay. I'll tell you the sort of interesting one of that is my brother and I are co-founders. Right. So Ken, this is our second company together. Our first one is called Good Shop. It's a coupon site, online coupons. And Ken's first company he started with my mom called Job Track, and it became Monster.com's biggest acquisition ever. It was in the job listing space. So Ken and I, this is our second company together. And then my sister works with us now too, Melanie, who's one of the smartest people I know, and my nephew Owen works with us. Oh, okay. And then their whole, number of non-Rambergs who work here too. But it's fun that we've got so many of us together.
That's great because it's good to know. And I mean, as I was looking through the team GoodPods and seeing what they're recommending, it's good to know, where all the ideas come from. As far as podcasters go, of course, I'm a podcaster. A lot of podcasters, like you said, there are probably 1,000 podcasts that start each day. Is probably a good number. How would you think this platform will benefit a podcaster like me?
So I used to have a podcast as well. Right. It was called Been There, Built That, and it was backed by NBC News. It was a compendium to my show, and I found that even with that big machine behind me helping promote me. Really, the way most people found my podcast was through word of mouth. When we went and talked to people, I promoted it every year, every week on my show, right, to a loyal, over decade-long audience, right? But people really found out through word of mouth or through podcasts. I found out it's really different to market a podcast than to market a TV show or a book or something else. And so I thought, if I have this big machine behind me and I still find it challenging, what's happening to all of the other people? And so, as I told you before, it's really neat. So early on, when we were just testing this concept, when we just launched in beta, somebody listened to the show called The Art of the Exit. It was about $100 million art heist. I'm quite sure very few people on our platform had heard of that show before. But I watched that it went from one person to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. So this pretty unwell-known show went viral within our community, and it was really cool. And so for podcasters, it's the power of one person listening to them and then their friends.
Yeah, definitely. And since again, I am a podcaster in the tech community, and more so the Apple community, I have a lot of other friends that are fellow podcasters. Where would you think we would fit in GoodPods as far as trying to help build our audiences in the tech side? Because I see a lot of different topics across GoodPods, but I thought, well, how would the tech podcast benefit?
Well, what's neat about GoodPods is the same as with the other social media, right? Instagram, Twitter, is that you find your tribe, right? So I'm going to call out to all of your listeners right now to come on to GoodPods and to follow you, and then ask their friends to come on. And now when they listen to you, their friends are going to see it. And now they've recommended your show in a way that's really simple, where you just press play and their friends, when they're about to go for a run or drive, can see it. And that's how it grows. I mean, if you think about how Instagram created influencers, right? And Twitter created influencers, LinkedIn, there is a real dearth of influencers, I believe, in the podcast world, right? But there is absolutely, I always think, because I have 3 kids, right? So I know there is a parent somewhere in this country who knows all of the best podcast episodes for an 11-year-old boy. And I am desperate to get that person on GoodPod so I can follow them.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the app itself, and I'm not going to try to get too technical, but as far as the app and the design and creation of GoodPods, did you guys work with a company to get it set up? Did you have anything in house? How did you go about doing that? And how did you get to come up with the design of the app itself? How GoodPods is laid out?
Yeah, we worked with a company. We still work with them. Some outside engineers who have been working full time with us, and designers. And then we also we have a couple of other designers as well who've worked on it with us. And the design, as you can imagine, right, because this is your world, it went through a few iterations.
Yeah, I figured.
And we're quite happy. We're quite happy with where it landed. But we did have to go through a few things. And also, as you know, we are in the very beginning stages of this. So if I could show you our roadmap, it's a mile long. So we've got a lot of not so interesting for your audience, but Android is coming out soon. Well, that's a big one for us.
No, it should be, and not necessarily because I focus on Apple and iOS. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you got to get an audience out there. I mean, I put my feed in Google Podcasts, so I mean, I'm not expecting I'm going to get too many people to grab on and listen to it, but you got to get out there and get your name out there any way you can and be part of the be part of all that too. Now, I don't know how familiar you are. I mean, I've always used the podcast aggregators like Overcast and Pocket Casts and those types of apps. How would you think you guys compare to that in the sense of what they do versus what you do?
So the magic of GoodPods is really the feed, right? The magic for us is discovery. And really knowing what your friends are listening to. So that's if I could show you also, I have this spreadsheet of literally, 700 people that I spoke to before we launched this thing to say, what are the big issues? I talked to podcasters, to listeners, to content creators, to heads of big companies. So for us, really the magic is discovery of that moment when you're get in your car and you say, what should I listen to? Oh, I want to know what Dave's listening to. Or, oh, let me for fun just scroll through and see what my friends are. And that is something that nobody else has right now. And so that's where we think GoodPods really comes in. And you can play on GoodPods or you can play on other players, right? And you can also share from other players into GoodPods.
Okay, so you are linking back to them, or are you just how are you doing that? As far as playing, if
you press share, as you would share to Twitter or Facebook, you can share on GoodPods.
Okay, so you're for sharing. I understand. So to go a little change gears a little bit here. You mentioned that you guys founded the company Good Shop and went through a lot of that. And I noticed that you guys had iOS apps up for those platforms as well as Apple Watch, Apple TV. Are you looking at any of those technologies and for the future? I know this is such a new company. You got to focus on getting this out the door, but I thought I'd ask about that as well.
No, but absolutely. Yes, we want all of it. So we are I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air, if it airs right away, but it's, we're just a couple months into this company, and we're excited because we've got some big influencers on board that you can follow. So we've been really focusing on that, like Malcolm Gladwell and Dan Harris, Dave Ginsburg, Kim Kardashian, right? Kind of a range.
The big ones, Katie Couric.
And so we are sort of simultaneously focused on the user experience of getting interesting people, some famous people, but also lots of friends and lots of, famous people within niches, as well as the product. And so again, as I said to you before, our product roadmap is very long. We are at the very beginnings.
So do you have a lot of followers so far? You have a lot of people joined so far? Is it just a small number? You're still trying to build it up, right?
Oh, we're still trying to build it up. Yeah, we just launched, and to be quite candid, we launched in the middle of this pandemic, and so we've launched a little more quietly than we probably would have otherwise, but in a way that we felt really comfortable and served our audience in this incredibly tricky time.
Okay. No, I'm really impressed with your app, and I think you got something great that you could definitely get people interested in listening. And you're, as you said, you're a serial entrepreneur. You have a lot of drive. You want to push this, and I'm more than happy to promote it as well, because I think it's a great type of platform. I'm been a bit of a podcast junkie myself, and I've done written some articles on it as well. So I mean, I think that's why I asked you about the aggregators, because there's so many of them out there. To try to dive in, where is your roadmap going as far as where you're going to go with this, as far as those go?
I'm just going to go back to something you said before, that it's that I'm an entrepreneur and really have a lot of drive to make this work. But my brother and I were just talking, and I have even more of a drive to make this work right now, given everything that's happening in this world, right? And the protests and, it just, as I was saying before, one of the reasons that this was so important to us is because there are so many voices that just don't get heard, right? And that is made even entirely more clear today, right? It's in our face how we really need to just listen to each other. And so we're excited about anything that we can do on our part to help elevate those voices.
Okay. Change a little bit of a topic here. As I mentioned to you before we started the show, I always ask my new guests what type of Apple technology they use. You said you do use an iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's about, do you have an Apple Watch? Do you use an iPad? Do you use the Apple TV? Any of those technologies?
You know what's so funny? I'm the only person in my family who doesn't have an iPad.
No? Okay.
I never got an iPad. I don't know. I was so excited when it came out.
Yeah.
And then everyone else got one, except for me. So I use my phone. I don't have an Apple Watch. We use Apple TV all the time. So easy.
Okay. So that's what I just like to find out, what makes people tick when it comes to these devices. And what do you like the best about your iPhone?
About my phone, that I can basically do everything on it.
I know. Isn't it awesome?
I mean, it's so unbelievable if you think about, if someone had told my 15-year-old self, you're going to be able to hold this thing in your hand that can do anything. Right, there's my iPhone with GoodPods.
Of course. It's important to have that.
Yeah, that's what I like about my phone. Everything is what I like about my phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing device, and that's why I talk about this and how very passionate I am about all of iOS and Apple and all that stuff. And I'm assuming you use a Mac as well for computer, but they just do amazing things with their products. They really do.
I mean, the user, look, as an entrepreneur, right, and someone who's building something, there's a lot to learn from their user experience of everything Apple, right? Their design, it's just changed a lot for the world.
It's hard to resist. And are you guys ever going to look at an iPad app at some point, or are you going to stick with iPhone right now and Android?
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I mean, I used to listen to podcasts sometimes on my iPad, but I think more so I'm doing it on my iPhone. But I definitely think it's definitely on any platforms as far as that goes. I think it was smart to go that way direction. So,
yeah, I listen on my phone because I listen when I go for runs or walks or hikes and then sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night and can't go to sleep.
Oh, I'm bad. I have my earphone. I have one of those the masks with the headphone built into it, Bluetooth, and I fall asleep and listening. I think I'm glued to this thing because I've got the real big one, the 11 Pro Max. So the big size one, but no, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your company. I think GoodPods is definitely going to have a good future. I mean, unfortunately, like you said, during this pandemic and then all the other stuff going on that hadn't helped you a bit. But I hope everything goes well for you. I wish you all the best because I think it's definitely an area where we don't have a lot of focus on first, but be able to listen to podcasts and. Podcasts I think are becoming even more explosive, more so than ever, as we said.
Well, I think they're important. I think I don't know. Yeah. I mean, with all this stuff that's going on, I do feel really, as I told you before, really, I feel like we have a real mission, I felt like we had one before, but I feel like it even more now. And so I, really thank you for helping us get the word out because it only works if people know about it.
And as I said, that's why I asked in the tech sector. I don't see a lot of people picking those types of podcasts. I'm hoping I can have some small piece on GoodPods that'll get people more interested.
That would be amazing.
It would be. I'm trying to build my audience, so.
Yeah, no, it's true, right? Is that we will get, so we're doing this discussion with Josh Mankiewicz, who is from Dateline NBC. Okay. He has a podcast, Motive for Murder, which is the #1 true crime podcast right now in the country. It's amazing. And Josh has come to do a discussion with us, our first discussion with GoodPods.
Oh, nice.
On the app. And we're also going to have a Zoom component as well. If anyone's interested, just email hello@goodpods.com. I'll get you on. But what's neat about that is through Josh and through this discussion, now we were getting so many people from the true crime community on GoodPods, right? That's we're great. Still new, so we're just, right? So it's going to be neat then through you and hopefully others will get the tech community onto GoodPods because you'll find your tribes and then you'll cross with other tribes because I'm sure you don't only listen to tech, you probably listen to other things too, and you'd find those through your friends.
You'd be surprised.
Well, maybe not you.
I do. I listen to other stuff too. I've mentioned it to a lot of other my fellow podcasters in the tech community, and they didn't know about it. And that's a good thing. I at least got the ball rolling for you. And I said, hey, you go grab your podcast on the GoodPods because it's going to be on there. So mine's on there, and I'm happy to see it. I hope other people will listen. And like I said, it gets geeky, but you know what? That's what we have fun with. Is people like to hear about the technology stuff of it. So yeah,
it's great. I mean, that's your world, and so we want everyone to have a world on GoodPods.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. I was very honored for you to reach out and come on the show. I'll definitely be telling everybody about GoodPods and as much as I can, and we'll see if we can get more technology podcasts on there as well.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you, Dave. It's so fun to talk to you.
Yeah, fun to talk to you as well. Thanks for everybody, and we're going to go right back to the show. So, Warren, did you have any other thoughts about GoodPods and anything that J.D. Ramberg talked about during the interview?
No, it was very impressive. I think something I'm going to check out, and certainly helps people like us. And I wish her the best.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity potential for a lot of podcasters too. I'm hoping I can get more tech podcasts on there. I mean, we have quite a big community, and any way we get our name out there is going to help. So, all right, so let's move on and go on to beta testing. It's back. Baby, you're happy. iOS 13.5.5 is out. I know you've got it loaded on every single device you own.
I do. I'm not super happy though, because
Okay,
this
sure,
one's
share, please.
this one's got problems. It's not terrible. The proximity sensor is sensing proximity that's not there often, so that's annoying because every time not every time, but a lot of times you go to use a phone or look at it goes blank, which is not fun. Other than that, it's the same. Other than that, one bug, it seems the same to me. So
Have you noticed any changes at all? Anything that
nothing else different. I don't know what it includes, but it's I don't see anything apparent. And it just said bug fixes for the most part, but they might be doing something with the proximity sensor somehow, or people are finding codes in there, right? The people found the
Yeah.
code in the news app for the audio.
That's what I was going to talk about as well.
Yeah.
I got a couple links. One's to 9 to 5 Mac. We actually got an advanced peek at actually audio available in the News Plus app. If you're a subscriber to Apple News Plus, you'll actually be able to play back and listen to the news articles, and that's kind of like a podcast in its own, don't you think?
Yeah, and they it's like people actually reading it or narrating it, so it's it's kind of neat.
Yeah. And the other thing that was in there, and also another article on 9 to 5 Mac is a code that was in 13.5.5 that looks to say potentially that Apple might be bundling their software, which is Apple Music, Apple TV, and others. So this can be interesting too. I think we've been talking about bundling, and we're hoping that bundling would happen. But I don't know if you saw this and what you thought of that part.
Yeah, no, I saw it, and I'm sure Apple is just trying to figure out how to make the most money off that process.
Because it did reference like a bundle offer, quote unquote bundle offer, or a bundle subscription that didn't exist in the previous versions. So seems to me that something's afoot. And again, we're waiting for WWDC to find out about all this stuff, and hoping that it's out there. I believe Watch OS has got an update. Did you update your watch as well? 628.
Of course. No different.
I don't think there's much anything in there. I got links in there about that as well.
No,
I don't think there's really much.
The iPad, the watch, and the phone, and there's just if there's something new, I don't see it. To be honest with you.
And tvOS is out to 13.4.8. Not much out there as well with that update as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Yep.
But you got beta baby. You're happy, and
at least I'm on betas for now. I mean, I keep saying this, but this has to be the last one until WWDC. But they keep
putting more coming up with stuff. Yeah.
So
other article that caught my eye, I think it was a good topic to talk about this week, is about iOS 14. Again, we'll find out more, as I mentioned, the WWDC, but ZDNet had an interesting article and it got some information. Actually, this was from their lead from Bloomberg. Bloomberg, Mark Gurman is always well known to get the rumored advanced information. He's usually right on most stuff. So they listed out what devices are going to be compatible to iOS 14, and I was pretty impressed with iPhones. I mean, you're starting from the SE, the 11s, and all the newer ones. You're going all the way down to the 6S and 6S Plus, and even the old SE is going to be compatible to iOS 14. They say, but I guess Apple's been known to do that. They've allowed a lot of these older devices to still be compatible to the current operating system. What you think?
Yeah, I think it was the same as the last one too, right? Everything on iOS 13 was compatible with the same phones. I don't think they dropped anything since then either. So
right.
So yeah, no, I mean it's not for us obviously, but it's good for some, and it's they had that we talked about last week maybe, but the Whoop sale with a couple of old phones in there, and if you picked one of those up, then you'd be happy that you're getting a new at least another year out of it. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, the 6S and the 6S Plus for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the old SE, the old SE.
Or the old SE. Yeah, people still like that. So
4-inch screen. Yep. Now
Yep.
iPad, on the other hand, that might be dropping more because they've been pretty consistent with doing that as each OS release comes out. So they're saying the Air 2 and the iPad Mini 4, which were released back in 2014, 2015, were going to not be compatible. So, but I don't think we're surprised because iPads do have the higher needs as far as the processors can be a little slower and frankly maybe Apple wants to hold them back and leave them back the way they were. So what do you think?
Yeah, people complain. They complain less about that, I think. The iPhones people complain more about when they drop support for older phones because there's just so many out there, and between the elderly and kids having the older devices, you don't find a lot of that with iPads. Generally they're not kind of kept in the same manner. And for the people who don't have the newer ones, they usually use those iPads pretty basically. Maybe just get on the internet anyway. So,
Yeah.
it's just a different use case for those.
Absolutely. Well, we'll definitely see what happens. Got a couple weeks, and we'll find out more. June 22nd, I believe, is the date. Will probably be the keynote. We'll find out more stuff. So, next topic I wanted to talk about. There was an article back a couple months ago about third-party browsers. That's always been kind of a sticking point with Apple, and they're not wanting to allow third-party browsers to be the default browser, because some people may want Chrome, they may want Firefox or any of those browsers as their defaults, but they are considering. Well, I've written link in show notes. This is on Bloomberg about allowing these browsers to be the default and seeing what they can do, because there's a lot of pre-installed apps on iPhones, iPads already, and there's also that debate of is Apple creating a monopoly of what apps can actually be on the platform with browsers. Do you use any third-party browsers at all, Warren?
I switch between Edge on my iOS devices and Safari, depending on what I'm doing. And I use Edge a lot. I use Edge when I'm trying to find something that's synced up to my Edge browser on my desktop, more or less.
Yeah.
But I don't, both of them work pretty much the same on the iOS device. So it's never bothered me that I can't set it as a default. Would it be nice? Sure. But it's definitely not something I really would care either way about.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I have 4 browsers installed on my iPhone right now. I use Firefox, Firefox Focus, and Chrome, and I also have Edge. Firefox Focus is an interesting alternate to Firefox. Basically, what Firefox Focus is, it's purely private browsing at its fullest. So anytime you go into a website, you're private browsing, and you're always going to be private. So if you're one that wants to keep secure, you don't want cookies or anything that's stored on your iPhone, this Firefox Focus browser is pretty awesome. Have you tried that browser at all?
It's got to be older, because I think I remember that from years ago.
No, it's still current, I thought.
I mean, it might be being kept up, but it might have been released a long time ago, because I remember having something like that.
Yeah.
On something, so it might have been something I had in my past that I don't have anymore.
And then Firefox, of course, is going to work with. It syncs with your browser on your PC or your Mac. We all have Macs here, of course. So that's a nice thing. So any of your favorites and bookmarks are all synced across. Firefox, Chrome, and Edge all do that, which is great. Edge is an interesting thing. I think Edge is going to be something that's really going to come around to the future, because Microsoft is really pushing it now for Windows machines, because Windows they're upgrading their Edge browsers to this version because it's Chromium based now, and then of course they now have it on the Mac, which is awesome. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes as far as that goes. Check them out. We'll have links in the show notes to all 3 of the browsers, and why not? See if it's going to meet your needs. I mean, if you're a Chrome user, then you've got the option for that. If you're a Firefox user, then you got all the options that you have on your Mac as well. So check that out. So and we'll wrap up. But I've got two apps here. First app here is Camera Plus 2, which is been an app that's been around for quite a long time. They upgraded it not too long ago. It's they brought out a major feature on Camera Plus 2 called Magic ML, which uses machine's learning to offer one-touch intelligence photo editing in post, and also can be used while you're shooting images. So you're going to get a lot of great options here as far as being able to edit things with while it's live. I linked back here in the show notes here from a 9 to 5 Mac article, so you can take a look and see. They'll give you a little detail. It costs like $4.99, so it's not too terribly expensive. And if you're a hardcore photographer, I mean, I know a lot of iPhone photographers are very hardcore when it comes to their apps, and like Google's Snapseed is probably one of the most popular photo editing apps out there. Camera Plus 2 is also up there as far as taking pictures and as well as editing, which is great. I think I've talked about this app before. I don't know if you, Warren, if you touch into any of these types of apps. I don't think you said you did.
No, not really. But it sounds interesting, but no, I haven't played with it yet.
And then the last app I wanted to talk about is Plex. Have you dabbled in Plex at all?
Oh yeah, I have my Plex server. I love it.
Oh, good. So we may have a whole other topic. I think that's going to be our next topic for the next show here.
I could talk a lot on that one.
Let's see where it goes here. So I had not got into Plex for a long time, and I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. And so I installed Plex on one of my secondary Macs. I have a Mac Mini that I have it installed on, and I created a server, the Mac Mini server with the Plex on it, and you're able to log into it. You're able to upload all my movies. I'm also ripping a lot of the DVDs that I own on it, and putting movies on there. You can do music, you can do photos, you can do all kinds of media, and it's centrally in one place, and it's available everywhere on your network, as well as you can set up to access it remotely if you so choose to play it out. What are a lot of things that you do with Plex that you do?
Pretty much the same. I have a desktop, a Windows desktop that I have hooked up I think a 10 terabyte drive in there.
Do you really? Oh wow.
Yeah, and
put me to shame.
But it's still being filled. So obviously, I got an external DVD player, and I burned all my movies to the Plex server, and then whatever I acquired in other ways, and basically, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I got a nice little collection. I basically just use it for movies, but my smart TV, the Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, they all have a Plex app on it. Get iPads apps, stuff like that. There is, if you want to talk about it, there is app. There is an app out there. It's called Plex Dash, DASH. It's free. And what it will do is the iOS app for Plex won't let you do much of the management things on it. Plex Dash does. It lets you kind of do more of the things you could only do on a Windows or Mac browser. So it's pretty neat.
Is that part of I just looking at the link in the show notes here. That's part of the Plex Labs? Is that something that's
no, I think it's
they're developing, or
it's a third-party app. So it's a third-party app as far as I know, and it's another way just to do some management, some server type work. Plex.
Take a look at that. Okay, I say monitor your Plex server. That's it. Yep. Yeah, so it looks like it's it says Plex Labs, so they must be developing it.
Oh, yeah, cool. That's even better.
Maybe so I didn't even see it. We learned something else here. I didn't even know about this. But the other thing too it does, I don't think you got into it, is you actually can hook an over-the-air tuner to it and be able to sync that and be able to record shows as a DVR on your Plex server. I'm assuming you haven't dabbled in that.
I haven't done that. There's the big talk is the home run server is a big one.
Yeah, which I was going to attempt to do it because someone was selling one. And I was going to gonna jump on, grab one of those, and then I don't have a really good outside antenna. I mean, I do cable TV, but I thought something to play with.
Yeah,
to
no,
take a look at that.
I mean, it's interesting. I thought about doing it too, but yeah, it creates like a, the dream, where you could try to, search for anything and I'll try to find it and use it to and
Yep.
use your library and things like that. So, yeah, if you get into it, let me know. They're not cheap. Those home runs are like
Yeah,
200-ish.
I think I can get one for about $90, so I think
Did
I'm
you?
gonna jump on it.
Yeah.
I haven't yet. So I'm working on it, but
Yeah, let me know about that one.
maybe another topic for another day for this show. But it's great to be able to watch the movies on your iPad, especially because you pull up your Plex server and you have access to it. It's not you're actually going into the app. It's not really on the server
Right.
with the interface. I put all the Star Trek movies on there. I got Star Wars movies on there. I'm starting to build it up. I'm behind the game here. And I got the lifetime pass. I don't know if you did that, but
I did. Yeah.
and what did you see a benefit for the lifetime pass? I think it's like $119, and that's a one-time charge, and then you get it forever.
Yeah, and there was a reason why I had to get it, or you couldn't do something important, and I can't remember what it was at the time. But without that pass, it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do, so I needed it.
Yeah.
So I was very reluctant to do it, but I did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the lifetime, and I think and they also added a couple months ago they added Plex movies too, where they actually have a selection of their own movies. No, not their own, but
through Crackle, I think it is.
Yeah, so you can watch the movie. I haven't done that yet, but
yeah, it comes up in the interface. You can watch any of those movies, but I think there's probably ads that are on those movies.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out, and then it does you have my photos in there. You could put music in there if you want to. So it's really a really cool app, and the server itself, it's free with the hardware, and then I think the pass is what you need to kind of like really optimize it up.
Yeah. Well, sounds like we're gonna have to have another chat about this and
Sure.
dabble even further into what Plex is all about and how it'll benefit on your iOS device. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. That was a great show this week through all the storms. And let's go ahead and wrap up. This is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others, including GoodPods. If you want to go out to GoodPods and go find me on there, you should check that out. And then you also can follow us on our website at In Touch with iOS, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I updated all of our links, and you'll have links to every single way you can listen to us. And there's quite a list if you go to intouchwithios.com, right on the right side of the page there. Just click a link. It'll get you where you want to listen to, even including Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. We're out there. We all appreciate you listening. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Warren, where are we finding you on Facebook again, right?
Pretty much, yeah. There's
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. Yep, that's it. Nowhere else.
And then
ever.
We didn't have a Back to the Future Go live cast because Guy was too tired. Poor baby.
And I took that as an opportunity to sleep. So.
And I did too. Well, I did our fine interview. And speaking of that, thanks so much to JG Ramberg for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best with GoodPods. We'll do all what we can to help you get the name out there. With that, appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.